Here I also demonstrated that the changes are applied to the templates running it in edit mode. This is the template, so it's compiled by Python. Instead, the JavaScript part outside the template is compiled by the web backdev server when I save files. So
Lorenzo,
yes, tell me.
In your plugin that actually shows the details of a layer, I know somehow it pick up some data from the database and show some details of that point or road or whatever it is.
This plugin, you mean?
No. When you click a certain layer, there is a details that appears with that particular polygon or point or whatever it is. You know that details that pop up. Click any part of the map.
Okay, the info tool, yes.
The info, yeah, the info. Yeah.
Identify, yes.
Yes. Is it possible if I have a certain picture maybe I took from a point, then it can be shown within there?
Yes, okay, let's see it. I know that, yes. In MapStore, okay, let's see this difference. In MapStore, we have an additional tool that is not present in GeoNode. That is this, let's see it. If you can see here, we have an additional tab for feature info. It is not present here. Here we have 3 tabs, and here we have 4 tabs. In MapStore, you can customize the template by using a template like this, for instance, and using properties. And you can imagine to include an image here with with the SRC, with the SRC of an image. Anyway, this is present. This feature is present already. Is already implemented in the layer configuration of GeoNode, and for this reason, it uses it. I'm not so expert at this. Let me see. There should be layers here.
Can you make a bonus to show some demonstration, maybe?
Mm-hmm. Let me see. Because it's the first time I do it, but it should be some. Yeah. Oh no, not this. Let me remember. I've seen it once only. Okay. Anyway, this is a part of the configuration of the map. Anyway, these templates are included in the configuration of the map itself, and they are provided by GeoNode. Here you can see that here ms2 config. That this is the configuration of the map with all the layers, and every layers will contain its own template. That now I don't remember where it is set in GeoNode and if it's possible to customize. I'll ask my colleagues. For sure, I see that if you for instance, console log this instead. What I edited. Let's see. It's new map, new layer. Okay, is not the entry point I'm editing for the template I'm using. I did it. Okay, now I'm going to the correct page. This file contains the layer, and the layer every layer on the top contains fishery info configuration with a template. And this template is provided by GeoNode. I don't know exactly where to customize it because it's part of GeoNode anyway. This is provided by the adapter in general. If you can see here in the MapStore adapter, this is built by, yes, this is it looks like it's coded here. Yes, this can be one of the changes you can do. For instance, one of the things that can be improved here is to allow to customize the template somehow here. It's a good enhancement that we can do in the implementation of the GeoNode for MapStore. Actually, GeoNode hardcodes a standard template to show attributes here. As you can see, let me go. Here in Feature Info, you have a template that is a big string. Now I cannot copy anymore. Let's refresh it. Yes, in this case, for every attribute, it creates a template that shows this format. If you want to add an image, at the moment, it's not possible in GeoNode, it's possible in MapStore. We can, of course, improve this template in order to provide a custom template here that allows to include images or something like that. This can be a good improvement for GeoNode itself. But actually, I think it's not possible. Yeah, until of course, if you don't modify your own, you don't fork the adapter for your purposes, but you can provide the generic, for instance, solution that allow to customize the template somehow. Yeah.
Can you demonstrate again the one that is within the MapStore, not GeoNode, the one that you showed?
This plugin, this template. This one.
MapStore. Yeah,
Yes.
MapStore.
This fisher info.template is used here. This div class row, div class columns. If you inspect, this is the same. For every feature.
You're within GeoNode now, not MapStore, is it?
This template is generated by GeoNode Django adapter.
Okay.
Inside you can see it in GeoNode.py file. You can see it here, and this is generated here. For instance, if I change yes, and I add the class here, for instance, this is GeoNode template. Add the class. This is a GeoNode template. Let's wait until GeoNode rebuilds. Expected indent. Okay, sorry. Let's wait that it reveals. Okay. I have to remove that bug. And here you can find for each element, for each attribute, you can see this additional class here. Does it helps you? I think I demonstrated that this is the template used. So if you want, for instance, to customize, but this is a generic for that template that is applied to every layer. But but if you if you customize a little bit or improve a little bit this policy, you can imagine to add some specific add some specific configuration for each map or each layer you want, and customize your own template and use it instead of using this that is generated on runtime. Okay.
That's okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay,
So
no problem.
It is within Django MapStore adapter.
Yes.
Thank you.
This yes, this is a part of the map, the creation of the JSON that is provided to MapStore in order to render the map. One of the part is the template, and Django customize it a lot. By default, MapStore uses the default GeoServers one, and if you want, you can customize it. Now, by default, MapStore uses text, but you can customize using HTML. That is another format provided by GeoServer, or you can use your own template here, and you can use properties. I don't remember if it is coming. What is the case for this anyway? If I no, it was state name. Yes, and in this case, in MapStore, I can customize it as I want. In the case of GeoNode, GeoNode uses the configuration originally created by this tool in order to customize its own view, and if you edit that, you can customize it and improve it. Okay, let's go to the next part. So basically, these are the main entry point: the template folder, the JS folder, the static folder, and each template, as I said, contains the HTML to create map, and includes as I said, includes the configuration, and it merges for some particular reasons. For instance, in this example that is in the composer, template. Here, templates. You may find even these other utilities that allow you to combine some configuration and then exclude some plugins. For instance, in this tool, we exclude widgets and so on in this particular layer edit configuration, because layer edit view don't need to save the whole map, but automatically it allows to edit the layer geometries and so on, and doesn't need widgets or save plugins. And that's it. All these operations are done to create a configuration that is compliant to that particular use case. Setting locale and setting other configurations, and then initialize by and trigger some actions if needed. Additional actions to open the table of content or select the layer. For instance, in this case, for layer edit, what happens is that I select the layer and then open the Fisher grid. If you see the layers edit page, it starts with the Fisher grid opened. If I edit the layer, edit the data, here I see that the Fisher grid is already opened on the selected layer. And the layer is selected and the Fisher grid is opened. This is implemented by these two actions triggered after the initial load. And that's it. You can GeoNode controls the MapStore viewer using these utilities. Okay. Now, if you want to add a plugin, for instance, from the standard product, you have to do something similar to what we did yesterday with the standard product. For instance, here we have the annotation plugin that is not officially supported because have some graphical glitch if you include it in GeoNode, but we can try it just for test. I can include it in plugins.js here. I can include it here. I can add it to the one of the configuration, for instance, the composer that is responsible to provide all the configuration for the composer, the editors inside the GeoNode. I add this, and let me close this. Let me close some of the pages in order to not confuse. Okay, let's do, for instance, let's go in edit of the map to get one of the composers, and I can see the annotations plugin added here. Annotations plugin is this, as you can see. Okay, I shifted the fingers. and you can add it if you want, for instance. So as well as we did in the previous part, instead of adding it to local config, we add it to a configuration or to a specific template. It depends on what you at what level you want to put this plugin. And let me remove this. and of course include it in the build by editing the plugins.js file. If you want to create your own plugin, you have to do almost the same thing. Here is an example. You can create your custom plugin as we did before. I can create a directory called the plugins here that is not present. Sorry, it's present. Okay, sorry. I already created an example here. I can create an example file here. It's the same plugin we did in the yesterday meeting, and I can add it to this. So I can example plugin. Can do a require. Here we are plugins. And we will see our plugin. Yes, of course, I have to add it also to the configuration. I have to wait because the configuration is provided by GeoNode. So if it didn't compile it yet, I have to wait until it have compiled. Anyway, I cannot see it. Example. What I did now, Mongoly. Okay, I added this here. Let me see. Here. Let me remove first the debugger entry because otherwise I forgot it. Yes, for sure I missed something because I did it last time and it worked. Okay, I included it in plugins. Ah, okay. I have to use default. As I said, we are going to harmonize all the imports, and now we have a plugin running here, and it's almost the same that we did yesterday. You can follow the same procedure. The only things that changes are the file you have to modify. Then I can continue with some exercises in order to develop a more complex and more useful plugin. Maybe we can continue doing an exercise that we did yesterday, but in GeoNode, just to take confidence with it. For instance, this time I'd like to I'll add, instead of adding a floating div here, that is not so beautiful, we can add an entry that adds an entry here in the menu and open a dialog. This can be helpful also for your plugins if you need. So let's improve this this plugin. Let me get some additional files that I prepared. Just a second. Mm-hmm. Okay. Here I've created a plugin. The only thing that is different is that this is a plugin for MapStore. Otherwise, here you have to use utilities from you have to import the files from the correct path. So instead of using the usually plugins defined in MapStore are in the plugins directory inside web client. Here instead we have to get them from MapStore client. Let's see if it works. There are too many dots. Here we are in plugins directory. You have to go up and up. It's okay. Let's see. Here you have to go up. I mean, JS directory, you have to go up once, not 2 times. Not dot slash search. I'm JS directory plugins file in plugins example. No, it's okay like this. Plugins example. Go one folder up, then MapStore web client. It's in the path seems to be correct. Okay. In this case, this plugin requires some epics and reducers that was originally defined it was an exercise that I wanted to do in MapStore, and I'd like to do it in this instead, and in GeoNode instead I have to create all these files instead of having them inside MapStore. I need to have them inside GeoNode. So these example reducer and example epic that are similar to the one that created the last time. Let's remove them for the moment because they are not needed at all. Now the build is done. I want only to show you the dialog. And now it works. Here I can use a dialog object from MapStore. You can find it in MISC. And I can control the visibility of this dialog by using an enabled flag that for the moment just that have to be controlled by a reducer. And the other parts are not needed for the moment. Let me remove the body here and let's see. Let's simplify this exercise. You have to create in order to control this dialog, you have to create a toggle dialog action, and this toggle dialog action have to be triggered also by the entry in the burger menu that we need to implement. Here we will have a toggle. Let's create it here. It's not important to create files. I'll create them all in the plugins files just for this example. Anyway, you can redistribute them in the proper directory. Const reducer. I create an action that gets a parameter and trigger. Just to be sure that is unique. I create an action type, the action creator, and the reducer here. And the reducer have to intercept action.type, and if action.type is toggle, then I have to set enabled true. To action.enabled. Here I have a reducer that can be passed here. And I can pass set. This is set enabled. Okay. As you can see, here I create a piece of state that handles the enabled flag. By default is false. If you want, I can explicit this here. Initially, we have the initial state is this for this reducer. And when you trigger an action, if a toggle action is triggered, this one created by this action creator, the state is updated with with the enabled. Otherwise, it is enabled by the same state. The state remains unchanged, so the reducer returns the old state. I registered it with the plugin system here with the name example, and here the component is connected as a map state to props that maps the enabled property of the component to state.example that is mapped here dot enabled that is a piece of state returned here. In addition, I mapped the property set enabled to the toggle dialog action creator. So when I call this handler from properties in the component here, I can for instance close the dialog in this case, and the action will be triggered. The last part is the part of the container that is the real new part. Here you can express, as I said yesterday, a container and some containers here in the definition of the plugins. The name, the key of this object, the keys of these objects are the plugin that are target of this configuration, and here the configuration depends on the plugin. So in this case, burger menu requires a configuration shaped in this way. That means a unique name, a position to. I put a position, a big position, so I have this plugin at the end of the list. Then I can set some text, some actions to trigger. In this case, I trigger this. This is automatically dispatched by the burger menu. This is it's in implementation of the burger menu, triggering this the action returned by this, and then an icon. And do not hide is an option to if you have a container by default. The default component is hidden if it founds a container. This is useful when you have containers that are panel and you don't have to render, and the main component is rendered inside the container. Another option is to have the main component, for instance, the dialog, rendered anyway, and also the container renders its own part. So in this case, this is a part of the plugin system and container system. If you don't want to hide, that is the default behavior. If you don't want to hide the default component, you have to set the flag do not hide inside the container. So even if it finds this plugin, the default component will be rendered anyway. Because sometimes you don't need, for instance, if you have the table of contents or drawer menu, you don't need to render anything else, and the plugins is rendered directly inside it. But for this use case, we have this variable. This is documented in the plugin system documentation. These and other options. Let's see if it works now, or if we have some errors. I'm happy to see that nothing works. Let me save it. If I save it, maybe I have more chances that it works. Okay, now we have, yes, you see this new entry with the heart icon here. The text example plugin, and if I click it, the action is triggered and the dialog is opened. And here I did something wrong, so I cannot dispatch. Set enabled is not defined. Here, set enabled. It's missing here. I didn't extracted it from props simply. can click here and I can close it. And here I can start inserting here whatever I want, a tool that does things that interacts with the map and so on. So summarizing what I did, I created a plugin that displays a dialog, and I followed the convention provided by the burger menu to add an entry in the burger menu, and when this entry is clicked, it toggles the action that shows my own dialog. My own dialog is controlled by this flag triggered by this action and handled by the reducer. So the visibility of this dialog, that is a component of MapStore, is provided by the flag that I extracted from properties and mapped from with map state to props. And I can continue adding some reducers and some state or something else I need, or I can do. That's it. This is the basic example. So this is I wanted to show it also because this is more useful than creating a div inside MapStore. Creating a dialog is more useful. You can, for instance, add the button here in the toolbar by adding this and doing the same for the toolbar, for instance. This is the convention is almost the same. Here I will have an additional button in the toolbar, that is this navigation toolbar here hidden with a heart. And if I click it, I can show the same behavior. I can show the dialog. I can even add the button that simply zooms and do nothing with all. I can remove all the plugin and create another plugin that do a call or do whatever I want by adding an action here. It's not important to open a dialog, but this is a very common use case. And that's it. So now we are able to create plugins in GeoNode as well as in MapStore. The procedure is the same. Then we can take a look in the last hour, in the last few minutes to the Django MapStore adapter. And later, then we can talk about some questions and answers. Questions about this point? Okay, let's continue. The Django MapStore adapter is the other part that we have seen. Is the model that takes care of save load functionalities and transforming the internal model in MapStore. Here in the structure is probably you are more expert than me looking at the structure of this file. Here you can find the API directory where it defines the model, MapStore resource, and so on. That is a class that is, let's see it, models. Sorry, this is MapStore, I think. Yes. Yes. here you have here in the models by I opened the GeoNode one models, Django one, the MapStore adapter one contains the MapStore attribute and MapStore data and other MapStore resources that are persisted aside from the mapping of GeoNode. This allows to keep in memory the additional information that are not persisted in the standard map of GeoNode. So what this model effectively does here in the serializer is to persist and extract the information that GeoNode knows, like layers, maps, and so on, and attach near this configuration the JSON of the MapStore, the original JSON of MapStore, and when you load again the map, the two configurations are merged in order to provide a JSON to MapStore that is compliant with it, adding the information from map layers that are persisted in GeoNode, and adding also the remaining variables that are required for instance, widgets or other things that are specific of MapStore. If you save a map, that contains some widgets, for instance, the map layers and so on are persisted in a standard MapStore, just GeoNode model, and the other parts are still in JSON format and persisted in this MapStore resource data part that is a blob, a JSON field that is saved there. MapStore resource has also attributes that can be, for instance, the thumbnail is an attribute as a reference for the image, and also this information are handled here. Then here we can have an attribute of various types, and this provides the same model of GeoNode, basically. This is the backend of MapStore. So a resource that contains a blob with the JSON data and some attributes. And this is the same, all these resources is linked to the original map. As you can see, you have some here creation data entries that are also in the GeoNode in the original model. That is the blob of the map JSON, the original JSON that add attributes here. And this MapStore resources is connected to the map by ID. Other than in the API, we can find out also the entry point, perform create and perform update functions that are utilities to save and create the resources and the and call the related serializer to save our own map that is present in the plugins directory. Plugins directory. The serializer takes care to save data and attributes, and GeoNode.py takes care of convert the GeoNode configuration in the MapStore string and vice versa. So here in the serializer, you can see the functionalities to serialize JSON and persist MapStore resource in general, and it uses the functionalities that are here in that are here in GeoNode. Sorry, this is serializer. This is serializer. You can find the perform create and perform update that persist the mod the things in GeoNode and then persist in MapStore 2. And the GeoNode this part take care of converting apart from some take care of convert the input JSON the GeoNode format in MapStore compliant format and vice versa. This is the converter basically, and this is the serializer. There's not too much left to say about this. Other things are standard of a Python model, and the only thing that may be interesting here is if I find it. Yes, these files are all common of typical Django applications. Nothing more to say. Here are some settings about some configuration that you can use. That's it about the GeoNode part. So if you want if you have some questions or some doubts or some things that you want to go in detail, we can do it. Do you want to do a break before this? Small break of 5 minutes.
Yeah, the remaining is only about the questions. Yeah, or we have another part before this. It's only about the questions.
Yes, if you want.
Yeah, I think
For
let's
me,
continue. Yeah.
Okay, we can
Masudi,
continue.
Yeah. Okay.
maybe this is an opportunity for us to discuss on how we can do some customization of the Experience Academy regarding, because the way I've seen that is like those folder of Django MapStore adapter and GeoNode MapStore client, they need to stay side by side with the GeoNode project.
Yes.
However, the way we have seen it by using what we call GeoNode project folder, the way that we are installing using Docker, it's not available. Maybe virtual is within the Docker images, but we need to see how we can integrate them and see how we can work with it as the way Lorenza has actually started. Maybe Edgar, can you have any advice, or Masood, how do we do? How do we go about it? Any idea, maybe?
No, I'm not a user of Docker, so I never used, especially I use a Docker in very special cases in the past, but I don't remember nothing. And for GeoNode, and for GeoNode, I never used it.
I've just posed challenge to my fellows. Don't worry.
Yeah,
So,
Gideon, as you said that there's a question I asked you before, how you can do this using instead of the Docker. But what I see for most of the cases in this documentation that they have updated now, I don't know much, but we need, I think, to shift it from the Docker and back again to the Ubuntu. Let's see what Edgar will say, because he's much more experienced compared to us under this environment.
Yeah, I think I could say the same thing. Maybe we could try to move away from Docker a little bit and grasp this concept, like do it without using Docker. Then if we have enough confidence to play around with it, we can try to experiment it with Docker, because I find it is much easier to do it this way.
Yeah, it's a good idea. it's a good idea. However, the way I've seen from the settings or from the requirements .txt file of GeoNode, I've seen that one of the requirements is that they are available GeoNode MapStore client and GeoNode MapStore adapter. So I assume that they are pre-installed and they come with GeoNode fully. So, but I don't know the location what. But we can think about it. But I borrow your idea, Edgar, that maybe we could practice this in the way that Lorenzo has started. Then when we are competent enough, then we can see how we can integrate it with the Docker. Thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry that I cannot not provide any advice about that.
Don't worry, Lorenzo. You did your party at your best.
Yeah, you have played your party very well. So maybe we should try to do whatever we have learned so far, because this is a lot to process. So maybe when we sit down and we try as much as possible to imitate whatever we've tried together here, we'll get more understanding. So once we understand well the concepts, it will be easy to start doing innovation or doing what we want to do. So if we understand the basics, it is easy to go further steps.
Okay, so I hope I helped at at least to start understanding the basics. Okay, other questions?
Yeah,
Other questions?
that's true. The first question I have, your contact. Maybe what if you get some issues? How you can make a contact to you? In this
Yeah,
context,
tell me.
it's like it's not coming from the Resilience Academy again, because Resilience Academy, they have already finished their tasks to support us to be here today with you. But now we see, like a GeoNode, they have a guitar. How you can get to like that? Maybe guitar, whatever the reference you can give us, and we can access you if you have any questions.
Okay, you can. I don't know if you have some particular parts or things to do with our company in general. Anyway, you can write to a mailing list that for MapStore. That is, you can subscribe to the mailing list. You can find a form to subscribe directory on the dev. You can write your email here and subscribe to the. This is the user mailing list. This is the developer. Probably you need the developer mailing list of MapStore, and on the other side, you probably are already subscribed to the GeoNode one. I think that you can write some information here, write some question here, and someone from MapStore can reply. From my side, I'm talking in name of Geosolutions, so probably you have to contact them before contacting me. Okay.
Okay.
And anyway, if you write to the mailing list, some of our team, probably I or some of my colleagues can reply your questions about MapStore. And of course, if it's a question of GeoNode integration, you have to send it to the GeoNode mailing list. That I think I don't remember. GeoNode developers mailing list probably is here. I think it's this, but I'm not sure. I can give.
I'm there. I think I usually see a lot of questions people ask about MapStore.
Okay. Okay. So if you need my contact, I probably I can give you, but just to be sure, ask first my company, or at least on the mailing list, on the mailing thread that we shared with about this training. Ask to Simone some clarification about the possibility to have a contact with us.
Okay.
Okay. More questions?
Please do not forget to share your presentation today, please.
Okay, I'll send it now.
They are so good. They are so good.
let me extract it while let me convert it into PDF and send it to the.
We don't have any question extra. Maybe we can give Venla to give a word of thanks from.
I have a last question.
Yeah, me
Lorenzo.
too. I will have last one.
Yes.
Lorenzo.
Yes. Tell me.
Can I deal only with the Django MapStore adapter and do some basic edition?
Yes. You can do it. And of course, it will be, because you are in edit mode. You will see your changes lively applied to that. For instance, here, just test it. Let's do it. Django MapStore adapter. I did it before, but API. For instance, here in the plugins GeoNode, when it is executed, I can do print. I don't remember what's the syntax for Python. I'm very. I think it's this, maybe single object.
Don't worry, you look better.
Okay. And when I execute this, for instance, when I load the map, I will see here in the console, I load the map here, I will see in the console that writes a test. And of course, you can modify whatever you want. In order to do some customization to this module, you probably have to fork and change the version here. If you look at there are two ways, of course, of contributing, of modifying one library that exists. Of course, there is a way of creating a general purpose functionality that is useful in general. For instance, if you here add the possibility to add some custom templates, that I think it's the thing you need, you may contribute to this module and do a pull request on GitHub on the GeoNode Django MapStore adapter. If you do a pull request for this to this product, this will be included. If accepted and reviewed and it works and it doesn't have bugs, it will be included in the default, the standard GeoNode modules. It's open source difficult contributions way, and you will find it in your Django module. The other way is, of course, if you need quick and dirty customization, you will need to edit your file and comment on your own fork of the product. And then instead, when you build your, if I do pip freeze, you have to customize your version of your for instance, you can add a string with the version and use that one to build your or use the edit mode to build GeoNode in general. You can use it in your own installation this way, or doing or creating a custom version and committing somewhere. Is it clear? Did I reply to your question? Maybe I didn't.
I think it's clear. I don't know where he is now. Gideon.
Okay. So one good contribution is, for instance, to to provide a system to remove this hard-coded part and replace and allow to provide a custom template. This could be a great enhancement. You can discuss it on the developer mailing list first, and it can be. I think that I can be happy to have some feature more. Okay. More questions?
Edgar, maybe.
Yeah. So mine might be a little bit out of this topic, but I feel like it is a good opportunity to ask it here. For example, yesterday and the other day, I was very excited on how you explained developing in MapStore 2. So I went to clone MapStore 2 and I tried to open a few issues. I just wanted to fix one issue. I was very excited. So I faced one
Good to know.
challenge. Yeah, so this challenge will bring my question. I was looking at the issues tagged like good first issue. So
Yes.
I believed those were very simple issues that I could experiment my understanding for these 2 days. So like my question is, if you find an issue you don't understand and you are excited to contribute in MapStore 2, what should you do? Should you just how should I put it? Like, how do you support people who want to contribute to
Yes.
MapStore?
Okay. You can write to the developers mailing list if you have some questions about an issue. Let me get them just to get an example.
Yeah. We can filter the good first issue. There is one old issue.
Yes. Yes.
Anyone.
For instance, this is very simple. I think that you have only to add one character here and add the unit test. So this is clear, and if the issue is so simple, you can provide the pull request that is faster than maybe than for instance ask if everything is clear. You can, and you want to contribute, you can ask, but you can even provide directly your pull request. If, for instance, this is a problem for you, you can contribute. And otherwise, if some things is not clear, and you are interested to solve this bug, you can ask clarifications on the mailing list or directly be in the issue. And this is useful also for us to clarify some details that maybe are not so clear in the issue. And you can, after you clarify, you can propose if it's a big contribution, we can discuss how to implement before or on the main list or directly on the issue, and we can discuss how can it be implemented before, and we can do it together. And we are very happy to help people to contribute.
Okay.
The two main ways to communicate anyway is the developer mailing list and the just to clarify, if you find, for instance, a bug that you are not sure, you can ask there. Or if you need some things, instead of opening an issue, you can ask first. Otherwise, if an issue already exists, you can write on it and ask clarification and tell you are intended to solve some issues and and contribute the project. And we are happy to reply you. We are very busy, so maybe sometimes we can have a day reply the day after or something like this, but we always reply. Hope I satisfied your. I provided you the information you needed.
Yes. Absolutely. Actually, the reason I asked is because I felt like a good way to understand the MapStore 2 and all other stuffs which you have just shared with us is to experiment with it, because you will get more understanding and confidence even in doing contribution to the Israel Resilience Academy or something like that.
Good to know. Thank you very much. And do you have other questions or?
Yeah, yesterday I tried to log in after installing this MapStore 2, and what I got, it fails to log in from username admin and password admin. Give me something like that. Maybe you have experience of it.
Yes, you have problems to do that?
I mean that the system reject me after installing to my machine, the MapStore
Yes,
2.
yes, you installed MapStore, and
Yeah,
let's try. If you want to share your screen, let me stop the recordings because maybe it's not needed in the recording at all. Anyway, let me. I changed my idea. Maybe it's useful also for the other colleagues if we find some bugs or some tricks to apply. If you want to, you can share your screen and you can show me your problem. If okay, thank you. You are running in dev mode, okay?
yeah.
And you configured the backend in Tomcat, or you didn't?
No, I didn't do anything. After this one, I tried
Okay.
to run
Yes,
commands.
probably this is the problem. But yes, I think that this is confusing, and probably we need to remove this option as well as MapStore is used somewhere else, and so maybe this can be annoying somehow. By default, MapStore, when you run in edit mode, uses the remote development server that is a private of Geosolutions anyway, and so the credentials are not public. To use your own credentials and your own user, you have to install the backend in a local Tomcat.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you have to download or build your own map store and deploy in maps in a Tomcat, and then configure the build config.js to point to that server in order to use your own. And in this case, the default credentials for a standard MapStore build by your own or downloaded is admin and user. It's explained. I'm going to share my screen again. The information, you can find this information here. Here in this slide of that I sent you yesterday. The Webpack server proxy is configured to use as backend dev.mapstore.geosolutions.at. You can use your own test instance, editing buildconfig.js and setting it to local config, for instance, localhost.8080 here. You can replace here in let me open MapStore again. Here in buildconfig.js, I did it yesterday. I configured localhost 8080 here, and I'm sorry, this is not the case. I replaced all these HTTPS to HTTP. And also also here you can replace. I don't think it's mandatory, but you can edit the dev server proxy here, and here I have an instance of Tomcat with MapStore deployed here. I build it running build.js from my script, and I deployed here, and so it's running a port 8080, and I can connect it to that port. Now this is running because it's the same that contains the GeoNode of GeoServer. This is the trick I used. And so if I do npm start here with these changes and with this MapStore running in a different Tomcat, sorry. Now I have to go back to the directory of MapStore. If I run it, instead of having an interface with all these maps that are not that are the ones that you can find on demo server, you will find an interface with no maps and with the user, instead of being the users of the dev server, will be the users of your own server, and you can create as many maps and as many users and groups you want in your own installation, of course.